Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So this is a massive day for the unemployed. There's no other way to describe what we're going to be talking about in this video. It is perhaps the biggest set of drama of 2026 so far. This situation involving a popular streamer by the name of Sykkuno has really gone off the rails. He was recently exposed as a guy who was going around and collecting many VTubers like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. He was cheating on his girlfriend of many years with these VTubers, and one of the people involved, a VTuber by the name of Himomal, released a Google Doc. Yes, another VTuber related Google Doc has hit the public, and in this, she describes her experience with Sykkuno, exposing him as a serial cheater, master manipulator, and a dangerous predator. A label many people have questioned, given the fact that, by her own admission in the last week or so, this same VTuber admitted she still wants to be friends with this Sykkuno individual, and has also admitted she has a hard time letting go of her feelings for him. On top of that, within the hour of the Google Docs release, there was a video about it released by Mugen onto YouTube, and many people started questioning the reliability of this video given his closeness to the situation. He is a friend of this Himomal individual, and of course was clearly given the heads up on this Google Doc and its release. And these were two main criticisms a lot of people were bringing up. One of the people to bring that up was the VTuber Powder, and when she asked about the reliability of Mugen's coverage of the situation and also the label of predator attached to Sykkuno, Mugen would have an absolute crash out on Twitter, quoting her, basically saying she's a massive grifter and that he's essentially waiting for the day he can make a video about her when she gets exposed for many different things, including dating black guys. Yeah, it was a crash out for the century, ladies and gentlemen. Things escalated very quickly, and he's getting clowned on Twitter at the moment for all of that. So, hearing all of that, you're probably wondering, what's the context? Well, this is a very convoluted situation, so I'm going to try to keep it very brief. Here you have Sykkuno, a streamer who got very popular during the COVID era. He did a lot of Fall Guys and stuff like that, and you can see his numbers, okay? Back around 2020, 2021, he was popping off. I mean, there were streams where his peak viewer count was over 100,000. And he has returned since then, and people say he fell off, but he's still doing very well for himself. I mean, he's averaging like 5, 6, 7,000 viewers a stream. That's still a very high number. And just to give you an idea of how crazy things were during that COVID era, I mean, he had a stream where he was sitting there in his VTuber model talking to Bernie Sanders. Like, that whole era feels like a fever dream, ladies and gentlemen. But there's another side to this Sykkuno individual. This 35-year-old man is a self-described e-boy who spends an enormous amount of time chasing after women, particularly VTubers, on the internet. It seems like he spends every waking minute of his existence contacting many different VTubers and trying to start romantic and sexual relations with them, and that is kind of the crux of what's going on here. So here's one of the main players involved in this video. We just mentioned her earlier. Her name is Himomal. She is a VTuber, and just 2 days ago, she released a Google Doc saying, exposing Sykkuno, a serial cheater, master manipulator, and dangerous predator. Now, of course, when this first came out, a lot of people focused on this highlighted portion because when it comes to Google Docs and content creators and you see a label like predator, people think that children are being harmed. Now, of course, there's many definitions of predator that can apply to multiple things, but in this context, I think it's reasonable that a lot of people assume there was something illegal involving children or something like that going on. So it got a lot of people's attention, and they immediately jumped to that conclusion based on the way this was framed. But she does believe that this guy, Sykkuno, is a dangerous predator. And here is just a quick run through of her supposed evidence of that. Beginning with their first conversation, where she reached out to him. She initiated a conversation with him, asking him if he's looking for a Valentine's date and all of this stuff. Eventually, they start making plans to meet in person, where she also mentions that there was a 15-year age gap between them, obviously trying to paint him in some sort of a creepy manner, but at the end of the day, these are consenting adults we're talking about here. And we also have this section, which I believe is the most important section in terms of proving anything substantial, right? She is trying to prove that he is someone who is a cheater, and she has ample proof, okay? In this section, she proves very clearly this guy, this Sykkuno individual, was leading on a bunch of women, including the person who made this Google Doc. He was engaging in all kinds of behaviors, talking with many different women, while he was simultaneously in a relationship with someone for at least 4 or 5 years. And he was leading all these people on. He was keeping these things a secret. And essentially, bro gave it all away for some e-sex. Like, that is literally what happened here, okay? Like, this guy was messing around with all these VTubers and content creators online for a very extended period of time, and eventually the women involved started figuring out what's going on and that they're basically being treated the same way by this guy, being fed the same story, and he is cheating on a whole host of people, but mainly his girlfriend at the time. And this is again another example apparently of the predatory behavior where two of the people involved here talk about the calculated pattern of love bombing and manipulation and how this made them victims. And they show Sykkuno sending over various, I guess this is through PayPal. And looking at the dollar amounts, I mean, it's kind of low given the fact this guy's definitely a millionaire, by the way. But again, this is supposed to be proof that he's a dangerous predator. I don't know. But this is how she ended the Google Doc, saying this was the last thing I said to him. And notice the dates. This is a week ago. So all of this ended just a week ago, where she has this Discord call that lasted 18 minutes. And we will listen to a portion of this because she shares this thinking it's going to help her case. It does not at all, ladies and gentlemen. But she ends it by saying, "I'm beyond disappointed in you." And this is supposed to be her response to finding out that he is messing around with all of these women, claiming he's exclusive here and exclusive there when he's not, and he has a girlfriend, and he's also talking to multiple other women and giving them an unfair impression of where they're standing, right? But of course, you have to also understand we have that label of dangerous predator. And we have this call from a week ago, and she shared their interaction. Does this sound like someone interacting with a person they believe is a dangerous predator?
That's it. Like,
What's it?
probably never talking again.
You and me?
Yes.
What? Why?
Is that not why?
What is why? I'm still upset with you, but you didn't cheat on me. You can still
What?
talk to me and be, like, make up for your actions. Don't get me wrong, because I always am there for second chances. But I never will forgive you for cheating on her. That's...
So not only did she find out that this guy was a serial cheater, that is definitely proven in the Google Doc, she also considers him a dangerous predator, and yet, when confronting him, she still wants to continue communicating with him. And trust me, that sort of level of communication and her feelings for him will be proven even deeper later in this video. But that's why a lot of people are very confused by the label of dangerous predator. And let me make this very clear. This guy is not a very great person, okay? He is a cheater. That is scum behavior. That is 100% proven here, okay? But this extra label of dangerous predator is something that a lot of people are saying is going a step beyond to sensationalize this entire Google Doc. And I think that is proven by quotes like this. A lot of people share this sort of sentiment saying, I honestly don't see the Sykkuno allegations as anything beyond him being a cheating F-boy and a whole lot of female VTubers trying to dodge accountability for willingly chasing after him. And she would respond to the backlash initially back on the day she released the Google Doc by quoting herself and saying, and with this, I'm logging off now, guys, which reminds me very much of my coverage of the quartering situation yesterday. Anytime you hear someone saying, I'm logging off and I'm not talking about this controversy anymore, they're going to keep talking about it. It's a guarantee, and that's exactly what she'll do. But she also says, this has been saddening to see how you guys try to twist me to be a person I have never been. I only did this to give my friends the opportunity to speak along with me. I have gained nothing but hate and threats from this. I wanted to make sure no other girls were getting led on again and used. And I'm fine financially if that's what you were wondering. I thought at the time I was pursuing something genuine. So here she is making a call for empathy, talking about all the hate she's receiving. And when it comes to any of these situations, I do my due diligence and I type in a few words on the related channels. And in this case, there's one that almost always pulls up results, and it really does tell me a lot about the character of the person we're talking about. And what was that phrase I put in? Charlie Kirk. So back in September of last year, here's Himomo saying Charlie down with a picture saying when yo neck hurt kinda, mocking his assassination. So Himomo, with this tweet still up by the way, was celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. She is gloating and having fun at the fact that his wife is now a widow and his children are now fatherless and will have to grow up that way, over the fact that he was the target of political violence. And to this individual, this is all hilarious and something to gloat about on social media with absolutely no fear of consequence, I guess. So I just find that very interesting. I didn't even mean for this to come up, but when you're asking for people to stop the hate towards you, maybe start looking in the mirror and understanding this is the kind of vitriol that you're spreading when we're talking about an assassination. But of course, there's more quotes talking about the entire situation, where this user says, in quotes, master manipulator and dangerous predator, end quote, looks inside, my face when. And of course, it's her initiating the conversations and all of that. And then we have people like this saying, I want to make it clear that Sykkuno and what he did is clearly bad/wrong. He has a cheating problem. And from my perspective, 100% agree. This guy is a scumbag. Okay, he's a cheater, he's a manipulator. But there's important questions raised by this user, saying that this seems like a coordinated public takedown attempt. And also, using the phrase predator when describing the situation seems a bit disingenuous given the explanation by Himomo herself. So she replies by basically confirming these concerns, saying, so me and Mugen have been friends and has been one of my confidants in this entire time. On top of that, predator doesn't mean pedo, I stated he was a predator because he has gone around the VTubing community, specifically reaching out to smaller female streamers to get sexual favors out of them while giving them both half-truths and lies. Well, number one, she is confirming this point. So this user says, this feels like a coordinated public takedown attempt because the Google Doc was released at the same time Mujin's video was released. And she goes right here and confirms that's exactly what happened. They coordinated this, which doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, but it's very obvious that's what happened. And it makes you question if Mujin is an impartial person to cover this subject. And also down here, you can see that she's trying to say the definition of predator can mean other things. So of course it can mean other things, like someone taking advantage of the elderly, like scamming them or something. That can be described as predatory. But in this context, in the world of VTubing and related Google Docs, I would assume the majority of people who initially saw the headline before they read the Google Doc thought it had something to do with actual predatory behavior targeting children or someone underage. That is a pretty logical conclusion to make, and I think it sensationalized this entire thing that was largely about him cheating. Okay? And then she also says he was using his popularity and the difference in the size of his following versus these other VTubers to get favors out of them, but at no point in the document does she show that he leveraged his following size to get these things. So this is a pretty weird response to someone pointing out these criticisms. However, we now move on to Mujin. And for those who don't know, he is a popular YouTuber who covers a lot of drama. He's been considered a reliable source by many, someone who provides impartial coverage of various internet dramas, and he would get involved in this situation and share this onto Twitter with the link to his video, and he would double down on this label of predator that was provided in the original Google Doc link.
But what made him really desirable is just how socially awkward he was. He was innocent in an endearing way. He was a boy failure that needed a woman to fix him. In a nutshell, he was this picture, almost allergic to other women. He just couldn't handle anything romantic. He would get too flustered. This made many of his fans want to be the one to finally fix him. But make no mistake here. This was all a perfectly crafted image that he had made for himself. He wanted you to think that he was innocent, naive, a boy failure, someone who's inexperienced in relationships and would never hurt a fly. Because in reality, behind this mirage, this illusion, there was a master manipulator, a serial cheater, and a predator. Someone who would make it a point for many years to target smaller content creators, take full advantage of the fact that he was one of the most desirable men in the streaming world, all while making it seem like he had no experience with women and that it just might be romantic. They just might be that special someone who can fix him.
So I think based on that and also how the original link to the Google Doc was described, they're using this term predator over and over again, and it has a very clear connotation in this sort of realm. And you can see that a lot of people were pointing out, how are you so quick with your coverage of this situation? And he said, I am the danger. Now, if you line up the times of when this was posted, the YouTube video, and when the Google Doc was posted, it was within 1 hour. And of course, the video is 1 hour exactly. So unless Mujin has a time machine, this video was already lined up. He had been working close with the people involved with creating this Google Doc, and he comes out as what many believe is an unbiased, impartial person covering internet drama, and people are stating, well, you know what? If that was your involvement in this situation, maybe you don't have the most impartial view. And again, Himomo has made it very clear that they found out about this situation just a week ago and that Mujin is a close friend. And of course, how does that affect the coverage? And many people were asking this, including VTubers like Powder, who you might have heard me talk about a couple of times. She has the honor of being among the League of Villains on the VTuber side of Twitter. You know, whenever you have those call-out posts, here's just one of many examples, you know, blacklist people like me, Banana Juju, Powder, Kirsha, Leaflet, all of those usual suspects. So she got involved in this situation, saying, ladies, you're not special. We're all special. Where she shows a 3-hour Discord call with Sykkuno. And she replies by saying, we just played a game, don't get any funny ideas. And she would quote that, adding on to it saying, can you criticize him for cheating? Absolutely. But never once did I feel manipulated by this dude. He's a huge flirt, but I was incredibly aware of the power dynamic. Also, he was just friendly. He's quite forward with his riz, which I didn't like being around, gave me player vibes. Am I going to flip out on him? No. Usually when someone is like that, they're already talking to multiple people. I see some women trying to play victim as if they didn't have a brain in the situation. Also saw people throwing the word predator around. I think that's unreasonable. Mugen never really was a reliable narrator. If a larger content creator who is friendly asks you to play a game with you, would you say no? So they really bring up the two main things we've been talking about in this entire video, whether it's the Google Doc or Mugen's video. There's two main points. Was the use of the term predator appropriate? And was Mugen a reliable narrator in this situation, given his connection to the production of the Google Doc and the fact that he was friends with the person who made it? This seems like a very fair set of things to explore and question. And again, Powder was not the only one. Many people were asking the same thing, but Mugen would pick her and just have a very strange crash out in the form of this response. He would quote her saying, can you criticize him for cheating? Absolutely, but I had no viewers whatsoever and became desperate after trying everything to be relevant. So I chose to appeal to people who hate my gender in order to pay rent. Am I going to flip on a serial cheater who had intercourse with women without telling them that they'd be homewreckers? Of course not. Morals are an obstacle to my income. Mugen was never really a reliable narrator, so when his video eventually comes out about me, referring to Powder, being canceled by my audience for secretly having dated a black guy, even though I keep saying I can't stand minorities, please don't trust him. Also, English is my first language, and I have no idea that predator can mean a person or organization that uses weaker people for their own advantage. This is a strange post, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to lie. It's strange on multiple levels. It is a very aggressive one to fair points being raised about this situation. And this whole part is just petty personal insults, basically saying she's a nobody who betrayed her gender to pay rent, and that Powder had some responsibility in the situation. She should have, made all these other women known, and that Mugen is an unreliable narrator according to her because Powder's afraid that he's going to eventually make a video on her when she's exposed for dating a black guy. What is bro even talking about? This is a very unhinged post. This is a total crash out. And all of the concerns people were having about him being a reliable narrator of this situation, they got a lot worse if this is his response. And you can see Powder achieved something pretty interesting. She would achieve a ratio right here, an initial ratio, responding honestly as much as she needed to, saying, "Dang, you're like really mad, LOL," and getting 8.2k likes versus his 2.6. And then she would add another simple response, achieving a second ratio, saying, "Also, stop fetishizing me in a mixed race relationship, you F-wad. Gross behavior." Again, that whole part about who she might be dating in this expose video that he's concocting as some sort of a fantasy is really weird and came completely out of left field for some reason. But this is the face of the guy who's doing it and the face of the guy who got double ratioed in the reply section of his own post going after Powder. I mean, it's a pretty impressive accomplishment if you ask me. But here's some more replies, and you can see myself. Late last night, I was literally about to close out my phone, and that post was right at the top of my timeline, and I didn't have the energy to say anything other than, what? Like, what is this post? But you can see Banana Juju here saying the amount of buzzwords in this puke of a tweet just to describe what it comes down to. The simple word cheater is hilarious. W Powder. I had no viewers whatsoever and became desperate after trying everything to be relevant. You just tried to crap on another content creator by colluding with one of the worst Google Docs ever created, and you did this because you wanted to have the exclusive for views. What did this girl promise you that you seem to be so willing to ruin your reputation for her? All these spurgouts basically really worth the way you look right now. And then you can see this saying, are you taking this unbiased reporting a bit too personally? Aren't you? Because yeah, that is really what seemed to have triggered him, just being asked if he's a reliable narrator for the situation he's so close to, that he clearly was involved in when it comes to the Google Doc that he covered. But here's another point that was raised, stating a woman didn't step in line, better drop the simp card. Now, this is also interesting because Muujin quoted his own promotion of the video saying, "To all victims worried about any sort of backlash, don't be. They're all the same accounts, and this platform makes it seem like they have a voice by consistently pushing negative replies first. It's all noise. I encourage you all to speak about your experiences. They matter." Well, you can speak about your experience as long as it's not wrongthink, and as long as you're not questioning the reliability of his narrative or the use of the term predator in this situation and how disingenuous it was. Yeah, you don't matter anymore. In fact, he's going to attack you personally insult you, and make up wild, I guess, assumptions about future videos that'll be made about VTubers like Powder. And yeah, this is why people are looking at the coverage and starting to cast some doubts about how reliable exactly his sort of point of view was. And to make this abundantly clear again, this guy, this Sykkuno individual, is a cheater. I think he is a very scummy person. But I think adding on extra labels like dangerous predator and also trying to go after people questioning the reliability of this video and Google Doc is causing a bit of doubts on the entire thing. It doesn't change that this guy got exposed as a cheater. It doesn't make him absolved of anything. Nobody is trying to take up for him. But we're focusing on the people who are reporting this stuff. And speaking of the people reporting on it, Himomo would continue right before I recorded this video trying to remedy the situation by saying to anyone who wants to claim I wanted to get him back, here's us also agreeing to staying just friends since he didn't give me the consistency I needed. When I say I wanted something long-term and something committed, I meant that. I was giving him a second chance as my friend, but I can't be friends with someone who clearly doesn't learn from his actions. Before we even look at this screenshot, she described him as a dangerous predator and said here that she was going to give him a second chance as long as he learned from his actions. That doesn't really track. But then she shows this, where eventually she's responding to him and saying this. Well, you take all the time you need for that. I've always told you to do what you feel comfy with, but I never expected anything from you or needed it from you. I was here because I wanted to simply be. If you want that as just friends, then that's okay too. I might take some time for me to get a little over, cause obviously I still have feelings for you. She is describing the person as a dangerous predator and saying all of this. This was supposed to remedy the complaints. This did the exact opposite. It made it worse. Ladies and gentlemen, this whole situation is a colossal mess. An absolute mess. I know I probably droned on for a while here, but I could have made this much longer. I mean, there is so much going on, and I am convinced this will not be the end of it. I think this is going to continue to build, and there's going to be more coming out about this, and there's a lot of public reaction from other content creators who are now getting exposed as hypocrites as well. But there's only so much you can say in one video. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know I make daily uploads. And as always, make sure you share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.